Wrestling is a sport of dedication, sacrifice, grit, and hard work. For years, wrestling has been seen as fake or as something not to be taken seriously due to the mainstream press surrounding the sillier moments in professional wrestling. Today, I want to talk about a wrestler I am very fond of, a wrestler who nowadays you only hear about the sad details of her passing and not about the incredible wrestler she once was. Today, we look back on Plum Mariko. Disclaimer before this, I will try to keep this video lighthearted, but due to the nature of the person and the tragedy surrounding it, I will have to talk about the tragic moments of her career. This is your warning. Let's get started. Mariko Umeda, better known by her ring name Plum Mariko, was a Japanese professional wrestler who competed in promotions such as JWP, Japanese Women's Pro Wrestling, the original JWP, and Senjo/AJW. She was born November 1st, 1967. Plum Mariko made her debut in August of 1986 at the inaugural Japanese Women's Pro Wrestling show, which also saw the debuts of legends like Shinobu Kandori, Rumi Kazama, Dynamite Kansai, and Mayumi Ozaki. The original JWP saw a lot of promise in Plum Mariko as she went on to win 2 tournaments for the vacant JWP and UWA Junior Championships, both times the latter having to be vacated. The only titles that Plum would win in her entire career. During that period as well, she formed a team with Cutie Suzuki, but it was believed that the two were at odds with each other, but were forced to team. However, when the original JWP split, they became a lot closer and became friends. But the team was pushed in this idol-esque way, both women being very attractive towards or for the audience and having a lot of fancy and very colorful gears. When the original JWP split into LLPW and JWP Project, Plum went to JWP Project and her stock was elevated after not only getting better and better in the ring, but with JWP Project having a much smaller cast of wrestlers at the time. She was a gifted technician, innovating the stretch Plum, having a great fluidness in the ring into her work, using a variety of body scissors, knee bars, planchas, Frankensteiner, Luthez presses, drop kicks, and other incredible maneuvers. Plum was a great seller and a bumper as well. In 1992, Plum Mariko really started to come out as a wrestler when she really made that technical yet high-flying style stand out as she won a Battle Royal by last eliminating someone who would become a big rival and a teammate in Hikari Fukuoka when at the inaugural Dream Slam for AJW in 1993. She teamed up with Hikari to win against Saki Hasegawa and Karu Ito. Probably butchered those names, I apologize. Plum would compete in rarely, but due to the partnership with JWP Project and AJW, it gave us some great matches like the inaugural Dream Slam match like I just talked about, the Captain's Fall match, the Survival match, the 6-woman tag at Semi-Final Battle, and her singles match against Manami Toyota. In 1993, she fought Yumiko Hoda in a singles match, and this was her first major injury. As she suffered a concussion during the match, and I don't know if Yumiko just didn't know or what, but even Yumiko was getting frustrated with Plum as she was missing some spots, but she was concussed, but even as Plum passed out many times, Yumiko just kept hitting Plum until the match finally finished. In 1994, as Plum was rising to the ranks, getting matches against Chigusa, Devil Masami, Dynamite Kansai, getting big singles wins over Ozaki and Hikari, and having that match with Toyota. Traction is really starting to build for Plum Mariko, but tragedy struck as she broke her nose. Then after her return, she then broke her collarbone, the left and then the right, setting her back in her role, but Plum refused to quit, even though she should have, and finally making her return in 1996, but that return wasn't much better as sadly she went for her Frankensteiner off of the top rope and lost her balance, falling to the floor, landing on her head, somehow finishing the match. In 1997, she competed in a one-night tournament for AJW in a 6-woman tag team tournament, making it to the semifinals with Kanako Motoya and Tomoka Kazumi. Around that time, before Plum's passing, Plum had issues remembering stuff for her matches, and that was a big reason why JWP Projects pushed or pulled back on pushing her, even complaining to Cutie Suzuki that she was having headaches. JWP officials knew that Plum was sort of out of it, and seemingly everyone knew Plum was not in the right space due to her excessive tiredness. However, allegedly she kept her condition and how severe it was secret from anyone with authority, it seemed, because she wanted to be a pro wrestler and didn't want her career to end prematurely. On August 15th, 1997, an already somber weekend as Candy Okatsu was planning on retiring, Plum Mariko teamed with Bolshoi Kid against Mayumi Ozaki and Riko Amano. Mayumi Ozaki used a Liger Bomb onto Plum Mariko, a move that she had done many times and was executed normally, but that Liger Bomb triggered absence on Plum's brain. Riko didn't get up, but no one expected anything as people thought she was just selling the move. But after some time, Ozaki and other people noticed Plum wasn't getting up and was snoring. Her brain was bleeding. Plum was rushed to the hospital where they performed brain surgery, but the damage was already done. Plum Mariko was pronounced dead August 16th, 1997, at only 29 years old. 500 people, including many women's wrestlers from Japan, attended the event, and it was reported she received 50,000 bouquets of flowers. There was a rumor that went around that Mayumi Ozaki would retire due to this incident, but stated that she would keep wrestling because Ozaki believed that Plum would want her to keep going. Plum's death did result in more safety precautions being taken for promotions, like doctors that examined wrestlers before letting them fight, as the only promotion at the time who really had doctors at ringside there and ready was New Japan. JWP honored her with a 10-bell salute and did tribute shows for her until they closed down. Mayumi Ozaki continued her own tribute shows in Oz Academy. The passing of Plum Mariko is sad and tragic. There's no way around it. Plum became the first wrestler in Japan to die in the ring, and everything leading up to her untimely passing, with her forgetting stuff, how the injuries really affected her, how she kept it secret. But Plum didn't want her career to end early. Plum didn't want to be forced to retire. It is sad. Someone with so much potential, so much determination like Plum would have and should have became a big star. Plum was entertaining. Plum was a treat to watch. She was able to stand out in an era of many wrestlers who tried to find unique ways to stand out. Plum Mariko's death was tragic, but I don't want to end the video on a sad note. I want us to celebrate the life of Plum Mariko. I want people to remember that girl who was a flashy submission expert. Her matches with Command Bolshoi, Yamasaki, Cutie Suzuki, Hikari, Chigusa, and so many more people like that. So many more wrestlers that she fought, because just like people like Hana Kimura, Asai, Brody Lee, Bray Wyatt, Jay Briscoe, and so many other wrestlers, they are more than what happened in their final days. They are more than a statistic. They're more than their death. They are a human with aspirations, who had passion, who wanted to be in this sport because they loved it, and they would do anything. They would sacrifice anything it took to be a wrestler. There's nothing wrong with mentioning their deaths, because that is tragically a big thing that happened, and you need to talk about it in case of different things with mental health or just with safety precautions or whatever it might be. Sometimes we get all caught up in the tragedy of a wrestler and forget how good a wrestler really is. Plum Mariko's career in life should have ended a lot better than it did. It's a tragedy and something I hope all wrestlers look at and know when to stop. But for all of that, we can still appreciate the wrestler she once loved. We can appreciate and honor the legacy of Plum Mariko. Rest in peace, Plum Mariko. Will be missed.